trying to get it set up, folks, where you can see me. Kind of in the dark here in my truck. Okay. Anyway, we're just gonna go with it. I have a couple comments to make. First off, if you have a trucker in your family, when they go to sleep, don't wake them up, okay? Unless it's an emergency, okay? Let me explain what happened to me. So, I'm used to going to bed at about 8:30 at night, all right? And I know what you're going to say, oh, you're an old lady, right? Going to bed that early, but I'm also used to getting up about 3:30 in the morning, okay? So I went to a family get-together. That was a 6-hour ride for me to get there. And I get there, and of course, knowing that they had a good amount of property there, and knowing that they were going to have a whole bunch of people there, I brought my hot tent. A hot tent is a tent with a heater, okay, that you set up a heater inside. And I also brought my propane heater, my dog, everything. My minus 20 degree sleeping bag, okay, everything I would need to stay comfortable and warm in the tent, along with my Jackery to charge my phone and have a light in the tent, and my water brick, so I'd have water for the dog and me, and I had everything I needed, okay, when I got there. So when I got there, I said, look, do you have an area set aside for those of us coming from well out of town to, camp at? Because, like I said, they have a lot of property, okay? They have a good amount of property there. And I had also already called the 2 hotels close to there to see if they had any open rooms, and they didn't, of course, because it's right around Christmas, right? So I get told, oh yeah, it's no problem. We haven't figured out where we're going to set you up at yet. I'm like, well, I would like to know before it gets dark. That way I don't have to be setting up my tent in the dark, right? Well, that never happened, okay? At 9:30 at night, I finally, all the bonfire, that the adults were all over at the bonfire, enjoying their time, and the kids were running around and everything. Well, it's 9:30 at night. I'm tired, right? My dog has pretty much been locked up in the pickup truck because of all the kids running around. And being a safe pet owner, I can't allow my dog to run freely because, he's one of those animals that he'd be fine with you at first, and then he will turn on you. Okay, so you have to recognize. I keep him locked up for a reason. It is not just because I'm being overly cautious. I keep him locked up for a reason, so he doesn't bite anyone, specifically children. He has a problem with smaller people, okay? He has a problem with smaller pets. He has a problem with smaller people, all right? And we've tried to work on that, but at 12 years of age, I don't think that we're ever going to get that changed. And so I just take precautions so that nothing happens. This is being a responsible pet owner, okay? So my dog has been locked up pretty much in the pickup truck. except for the couple times I've gone and let him out, on the leash, away from everybody, and then put him back in the pickup truck. So I said, at this point, you know what? I got my sleeping bag. I got the dog here. I'm just going to lay the seat back and just sleep in the pickup truck until in the morning when I'm scheduled to go back home anyway, right? Because I figured I'll sleep 5-6 hours. I get up and then drive home. Well, I'm nice and comfortable, and I'm actually starting to sweat in my sleeping bag, kind of half dozed off, and I get a knock on my pickup truck door telling me, oh, well, you can't sleep in your pickup here. Okay. But you can come in and lay on the floor in the living room and sleep. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to leave my dog in the pickup truck to freeze. That's not going to happen. Okay. And they didn't even have the kudos to have an adult come tell me that. They had to have one of the younger children come tell me that. Well, here's my point. This was at about 11:30 at night. So I'd already had a good hour to hour and a half sleep, right? So at that point, I'm like, you know what? I'm awake now. If I were to try and go back to sleep now, it would be 2 o'clock in the morning before I would get back to sleep. And then when I wake up, I'm going to be in worse shape than what I was when I went to sleep. So I drove home. And I got home at 5 o'clock Sunday morning. Now, my point is this. I am a trucker. When I go to sleep and I get to a deep sleep, and you wake me up, we are now going to be up for 2 or 3 hours minimum. And a lot of times when you wake us up from a deep sleep like that, the first thing we think as an older driver, I'm going to tell you what goes through our mind. Number one, am I late? That's number one. Number two, where am I? That's number two. Number three, where's the coffee? That pretty much is the first three thoughts that go through my mind when you wake me up. Followed by, in rapid succession, what woke me up? Is everything okay? Okay, now that we got the adrenaline back down, what's going on? So when you knock on my truck door and I've been sound asleep, I'm going to look at you just like this. Because I don't know what you want, right? My brain is not awake. My eyes are awake, but my brain is not awake yet. Okay, it takes me about 5 minutes to wake the fuck up. Okay, just saying. So take this as a public service announcement. Don't wake a trucker up in the middle of the night unless it is an actual emergency, because a lot of times they're tired. They're overly tired, and if you wake them up like that, you break their circadian rhythm. And when you do that, that driver the next day is 75% more likely to do something stupid. Now, whether or not it results in an accident is irrelevant. It could, the trucker could do something stupid which puts other lives at risk. And so you don't want to do that, okay? So that was my experience over the weekend. Had a good time. Don't get me wrong. I had a good time. And I know they didn't do it maliciously. I know they were thinking, well, they were thinking that it would be better if I was inside. But what they weren't thinking about was my dog. And I had told them ahead of time I was going to be bringing the dog. Okay? And I have the kennel for the dog and everything. So you got to wonder sometimes, right? Now, I have some warnings to you for this week because we are looking at really, really cold weather coming in. You see my little, I got my little Russian cap on. I say, yeah, I'm going to look all Russian today because it's cold out, right? So you keep your head warm in the cold. Helps keep your body heat in. And yes, this is real Russian. I got this when I was overseas. This is real Russian. Now, I could say a whole bunch about what's going on over there in Ukraine, and I might do that this morning. I don't know. I might do it tomorrow. I don't know. But I think I'm going to piss some people off when I do. Now, cold weather. You need to make sure that your family is prepared for cold weather. Don't expect the electricity to stay on. Have an alternative way of staying warm, whether that be blankets, even a tent set up inside your house, sleeping bags, a solar generator, a gas generator, a wood stove. You need to think of this now because this weather is going to be coming in hard and it's going to be coming in fast, and it's going to be at least 3 or 4 days of this winter blast, okay? Now, that being said, it is winter. It is winter. So you should have been thinking about this ahead of time anyway, right? Because this is winter, and you know that winter comes in, and when winter comes in, it gets cold. So we need to be thinking about, sorry, I'm trying to get this set right. The lighting sucks, I know, but it's pitch black out because it's like 6 o'clock in the morning. And if I were to turn the overhead on, it makes it even worse. So I'm trying to work with what I've got, right? Anyway, let's talk about something that a lot of people don't think about when it's this cold out. And that is your pets. Now, if you have a dog, don't be thinking that just because he has a fur coat that he can survive the cold. He can't. Now, let me explain something to you that maybe you don't know. But in the wild, the dogs, when it gets cold like it is, they go into a burrow together, and the combined body heat helps them to survive. Okay? Cattle will cluster together, and they will find a spot sheltered from the wind, like in a little lee in the mountain or in a bunch of trees, so that they're all together, so they're clumped together for combined body heat. Okay? Horses do it, cattle do it, sheep do it. Now, if you have these animals, you already know they need some kind of, if they're in a fenced area, they need some kind of like lean-to with 3 walls where they can get inside there, and their combined body heat will help keep them warm. You already know this, okay? Um, sheep, goats, cows, horses, even pigs. Um, Pigs especially, because pigs like to get in the mud and they can freeze, and their legs can freeze into the mud when the mud freezes, and they can have injuries from that. So if you have pigs, you want to make sure they have a nice uh, stall that they can go into that has hay, and nice dry hay, so they can get in there and wallow in the hay and get warm. Chickens. The chickens can survive cold temperatures. They can do it, but however, they need a enclosed coop and a way for them to be together, clustered together. Now, if you have a big chicken farm, you already know supplement heating sometimes works. I don't recommend supplement heating if you can help it, but with these temperatures, they're talking in the minus 20 degrees, you're going to have to supplement heat. So I don't know how you're going to figure that out besides doing a deep litter method or actually putting in poultry heaters. So you need to consider that, or you might end up losing several chickens, if not the entire flock. Okay. Now chickens can, their combs on top of their heads can frostbite, their feet can frostbite. So you want to be looking for that. You want to make sure that they do have fresh water that's not frozen. That's with all of your animals. If they have to stay outside, you need to do extra. But if you have dogs or cats, or even potbelly pigs, you need to bring them in the house, or bring them into the garage where they have heat to some degree. Because dogs, yes, they are furred, but they can get frostbite on the pads of their paws. Just like you, if you go and you lick a pole in the cold, when it's snowing out, your tongue could freeze to the pole just like that in that temperature. Same thing with a dog. You can go out there and try and get a drink of water, and next thing you know is he's stuck with his nose to the water, and that's where you'll find him the next day, sideways, frozen solid. Hate to be blunt like that, but that's the truth. Now, some dogs are made to be outdoors all the time, but you need to provide them with some kind of kennel with supplement heating, or some way to curl up with supplement heating, such as an old sleeping bag, old blanket, something where they can retain their heat inside that box. Specifically, Great Pyrenees, they have very thick fur. Huskies, they have very thick fur. But if you look at any of the people in Alaska, they will tell you that they do take extra precautions when cold weather like this comes in, to make sure that the little dog houses that they have something on the floor which allows the dog to not have his paws directly on the cold. And the way they make their dog houses, it allows the heat of the animal to stay within the dog house and heat up the dog house. So you need to think about that with your Pyrenees. If they are ranch dogs that are outside all the time, you need to consider that. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm telling you what I would do, and I would make sure that they had that good dog house, or a good area, access to the barn, where they can go into the barn where the rest of the animals are at, so that they're in there with the animals that they are protecting, and thereby the combined heat of all the animals will keep everybody warm. Unfortunately, most of the ranchers out there will tell you that you will most likely lose some of the older animals due to the cold, because it is hard on the animals. So just be ready for that. It's sad, but that's the way of life on the farm, and we all know that. Now that's what I had for you this morning. Had a very interesting weekend. And looking forward to having a couple days off over this coming weekend for Christmas. And I know some of you don't celebrate that, but I'm going to just wish you Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. Or Happy Hanukkah. Happy Kwanzaa. I think that's all of them, right? I might be missing. Oh, is it Yuletide or Beltane? I don't remember. But hey, Happy Holidays covers it all, right? Please be safe, folks. A lot of people are traveling this week. Don't get in a hurry. Take your time. If you have people around you that are in a hurry, just let them go. Right? Just let them go. You take your time. Don't cut people off. Slow down a little bit. Better to get there in one piece a few minutes late than to never get there. Okay? Especially out west. I mean, every year we see out west 150, 200 vehicle pileups. Every year. And it's normally caused by somebody being in a hurry. Driving too fast for the conditions that are there. So slow down, folks. Take your time. That way you can get to your family get-togethers on time and in one piece. And we'll see you back next week, because I'm not going to be online this week. Obviously, it is Christmas holidays. And obviously, I am at work, and we've got a lot of last-minute deliveries to do right before Christmas, so I'm going to be working my butt off next couple of days. So, have a blessed holidays, and we'll see you after Christmas. Bicycle!